Welcome to the first episode of the Cyber Canvas. I am Nick Morpus. I'm a cybersecurity and networking professional. I've worked for companies like Gartner, Netscope, VMware, Ariaka, and I started this show because it gives me an outlet to do the two things I love most, which is doodle and talk a lot, and two, it gives me a platform to talk about my thoughts and ideas as it relates to cybersecurity, the news, specific things that are happening in the market, and where I think we're heading in terms of cybersecurity. So this will be an evolving process as I go along, and I figured I'd start the first episode off with a real banger, something to really get the conversations going. So let's get into it. All right. So for my first episode, I'm going to do something that is totally not risky at all, and I'm going to make some predictions. So as a larger topic, I want to really dive into where I think SASE, Secure Access Service Edge, is heading in the next 4 to 5 years, the different forces that are influencing SASE, the implications of these different changes, and what I think this really means for enterprise going forward as it relates to cybersecurity. So let's dive into it. So I'm going to get the obvious out of the way for those who are already in the SASE space. By 2030, unification is going to be pretty much the standard for SASE going forward. You know, as far as the 5 core components of SASE are concerned, your SD-WAN, ZTNA, CASB, SWG, and Next-Gen Firewall, these are all going to be pretty much lumped in as consolidated offerings under a unified SASE vision. And we already have several companies that are doing just that. Your Cato Networks, your Netscopes, your Zscalers, these companies started off in one solution or another. For instance, Netscope starting out in CASB, but they have now branched out, offering an SD-WAN, DLP, all these different functions under their own SASE vision. And as long as we're talking about these core components, I would be shocked to find in 4 to 5 years that there's any company offering just one of these solutions as a part of their entire offering. It's all going to be consolidated. Now, as far as other features, such as AI specific features or your EDR, NDR, XDR, those could potentially still be offered separately, but I'd be willing to bet that those are going to be rare, few and far between. And the reason for that is twofold. One is economic, and the other one is a security simplicity argument. Now, in terms of economics, companies are looking to decrease their capital and operational expenditures. They don't want to have to spend a lot of money and deal with complex pricing packages with multiple different vendors in order to piece together a basic SASE infrastructure. So as far as the economics are concerned, it simply just makes sense to have a lot of consolidation as far as SASE is concerned. Now, in terms of security and simplicity, when you're dealing with security, obviously you want to have as few of gaps as possible in your infrastructure. And when you're dealing with multiple vendors, you can deal with integration issues, potential blind spots, and a whole host of other things, such as different dashboards for even managing these tools. So you could technically have a SASE infrastructure, but piece together different tools from other vendors. And now you're just dealing with the complexity of all of these different parts and hoping that they work together in a uniform fashion and actually speak to each other in the way that you're hoping. So a unified vision of SASE, I think, is going to be the standard going forward. It has definitely been trending in that direction, and I don't see that changing anytime soon. So there was absolutely no way that we could talk about predictions without including the topic du jour, artificial intelligence, the one thing that nobody can stop talking about and everybody has an opinion on. So as far as SASE is concerned, there are a lot of things that I think are good that are going to happen to SASE and are already happening as we speak. artificial intelligence is being integrated into SASE. And as agentic AI develops out, obviously you're going to be seeing it used to, protect networks. It's going to be used for DLP purposes. It's going to be used to even protect itself, protecting Gen AI and the different prompts that are sent through it, information leakage, data poisoning, all kinds of things, and even adversarial AI that is used to breach into networks or steal credentials or mimic employees. Uh, AI is going to be integrated into SASE to take care of a lot of these things. Now, at the same time, the problem becomes, how intelligent will that AI truly be? Now, I'm of the opinion that we are seeing a plateau in the abilities of AI. Just look at the latest release of ChatGPT and all the things it messed up for people. You have artificial intelligence being used for, what quote unquote vibe coding, or essentially just saying, create me this app, and it's full of bugs and security holes and everything. So as far as SASE is concerned, and the more it is integrated into AI, obviously we would like to get to a point where it can learn on its own and set policies and everything. But, who's to say that it's not going to produce, bad policy as it learns, whether or not it's going to still continue, just like a lot of our solutions already do, producing false positives, whether or not it is influenced by insider and outsider attacks. So as artificial intelligence is integrated more into SASE, it's going to open the door for a lot of different good things that will help build out its capability and flesh out where humans can't possibly, comprehend as things unfold, whether that's attacks or, managing major networks. However, there is still the bad issues of potential, policy issues, false positives, and the fact that artificial intelligence can be influenced. And then there's a big but about, and yes, I said that on purpose. The big but, of course, being, what will artificial intelligence even look like in 5 years? Now, this is if things kind of stay on the same path that they have, barring any, major existential circumstances. But let's look at some of those more realistic scenarios. Energy consumption. It's a huge concern with AI, and there could be potential issues with energy that prevent AI from being integrated into SASE or scaled in a major way as data centers consume more and more energy and consume more and more water. This is a major concern. Additionally, there are the legal concerns. AI, as we know it, is so new, it hasn't truly gotten the test of the courts to find out whether or not it is violating, copyright laws, whether or not it is violating privacy laws. And there are going to have to be serious discussions had as to how artificial intelligence is integrated into SASE by 2030. And that could influence the breadth of its capabilities, and may even expand out the potential downsides of integrating it into the infrastructure. So I believe it's going to be a big part of the discussion. Whether or not it takes over the SASE infrastructure from humans still remains to be seen. All right, so I know that quantum computing isn't something that is usually talked about in the conversations surrounding SASE, and there's good reason for that. It's extremely nerdy, and there are a whole lot of nuances and a lot of very in-depth information about superposition and what have you. I'm not going to try to digest all of that for you. Instead, what I want to talk about is One, I believe that quantum computing is probably going to be a reality by 2030. IBM is moving full steam ahead on developing out their quantum computing capabilities. And by the time this becomes a reality, uh, we will see what is known as Q-Day, this theoretical idea that once quantum computing becomes a reality and falls in the hands of threat actors, all of our encryption standards as they exist right now, the decrypt times for those would be cut in half, which means for a lot of them, a lot of the ones that we use, it will take seconds, minutes, if not hours to decrypt all of these encryption standards and get access to all of your sensitive information, all of your corporate data, even the pictures, the weird picture memes that your uncle sends to you over text that you really wish he would stop sending to you. They would have access to those. And by 2030, I believe SASE will have integrated a lot of the post-quantum cryptography standards already set by NIST in FIPS 20, I think it's 203, 204, and 205. These guidance standards will become mandatory, and post-quantum cryptography will become the base bottom standard for any kind of cryptographic capabilities of any SASE infrastructure, whether we're talking about a ZTNA, any kind of a VPN infrastructure, whatever it is that we're using with SASE in 2030, the encryption standards that protect that information in transit and also at rest on endpoints in the cloud and in your in-office servers, all of it is going to have to rest at this standard, and there will be no SASE providers that offer any of these older standards. It's not going to happen. I think that quantum computing is going to make a major impact, not only in the encryption standards, but also lead to major developments in AI. And just like all the threats we talked about before with AI, whether they're the security benefits or the adversarial developments in AI, quantum computing is going to majorly supercharge the ability of large language models to crunch tons and tons of data in very short amounts of time, leading to extremely effective attacks, but also extremely effective security capabilities. So we're going to see a major jump in the security capabilities of SASE by 2030, thanks to quantum computing. At least that's what I'm resting my hat on. Thank you for watching the first episode of the Cyber Canvas. I hope you enjoyed my predictions. I know I left my crystal ball in an airport bathroom a few weeks ago, so these are the best I could do. But I would love to know, what are some of your SASE predictions? Leave some in the comments below, and I would love to get into a discussion with you about them. And I'll see you on the next episode.